Why, hi again, baseball fans. I'm Ron Chuckett, and it's time for Pro Baseball 85 Series of the Week. Today, a special game between the St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Mets. From Shea Stadium in New York, Ron Darling will face John Tudor in the second of the opening two-game set of the year. If you were with us in our last video, the Mets had a very comfortable 7-1 win over the Cardinals, including a home run from Gary Carter on his Mets debut, and a home run from Howard Johnson. Dwight Gooden went the distance, going 1-0 on the year, striking out a bunch. And so the Cardinals hope to win today to get on the win column. Now, but they will have to face Ron Darling of the New York Mets. Darling never really got the credit, I don't think, for what he did these golden years for the Mets. In 85, he went 16-6. with an earned run average of 290. 248 innings, 214 hits, 21 homers. He walked 114, which may be the only thing that he really had going against him, and struck out 167. Before we introduce the defense, let's tell you how the Cardinals will line up. Lonnie Smith in left will lead off. Tommy Herr, the second baseman, will bat second. Steve Braun will bat third and play right. Jack Clark cleans up and plays first. Darrell Porter will catch and bat fifth. Terry Pendleton will bat sixth and play third. Andy Van Slyke will bat seventh. He's your center fielder. Ozzie Smith is your shortstop. He'll bat eighth. And John Tudor, who also was a 20-game winner for the Cardinals, will bat ninth. In the upper left-hand corner here for St. Louis, and the upper right-hand corner for the Mets, you'll see the stats of how they batted this year. And starting with this game, if you watch some of the other videos, we'll give you how their numbers during the sim. So Lonnie Smith is ready. He went 0 for 3 and struck out twice in the opener. And as soon as Ronnie Darling is ready, we'll go. And we'll go now. This one starts off with a bunt foul. 0-2. Smith, of course, is a huge threat to bunt. Mets will play back because now the count is 0-2. St. Louis stole 320-some-odd bases in 1985. They ran, and ran. Does not bunt on 0-2 and swings and misses for strike 3. So 1 out for Darling as Tommy Herr comes up. Tommy 1 for 4 in the opener with a strikeout. And he'll single to center. And that's how the Cardinals get their first base runner on. Now, Darling is a lot better at holding runners on. Oh, I didn't do the defense. Here's the defense around Ronnie this afternoon. George Foster in left. A below-average range, average arm. Mookie Wilson, good center fielder, not a great arm. Christensen is in right. Halfway decent arm, not so decent range. No Darryl Strawberry to start. Howard Johnson is at third. Not a great third baseman. Rafael Santana is your shortstop, average. Kelvin Chapman, boy, I pulled that name out of a hat, is your second baseman. Not a great defender. Keith Hernandez is a great defender, is at first. And Gary Carter behind the plate, great range, and an average arm. Steve Braun went 1 for 3 in the opener with a strikeout. Not a threat to bunt. Herr is not really a threat to steal here. On to third. Johnson and Chapman for 1. To Hernandez. They turn it. Double play. And that's the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. We've played 1/2 inning. The Cardinals, nothing. The Mets coming up. John Tudor, in any other year, would have been a Cy Young winner. But Dwight Gooden went 24-4 with a 1.53 ERA. So Tudor, who went 21-8 with an earned run average of 193, got bridesmaids honors. 275 innings. He allowed 209 hits, 14 homers, 49 walks, and struck out 169. Came to the Cardinals via the Pirates, and before that, obviously, was with the Red Sox. Here's how they will line up, or here's how the Mets will line up. Mookie Wilson leads off. Kelvin Chapman bats second. Keith Hernandez, the first baseman, bats third. Gary Carter cleans up. George Foster, the left fielder, bats fifth. Christensen, the right fielder, bats sixth. Howard Johnson, who had the 3-run homer in Tuesday's game bats 7th. Rafael Santana bats 8th. And Ronnie Darling, who should go about 120 pitches, bats 9th. Here's the defense around John Tudor. Lonnie Smith in left. Average arm, poor range. Andy Van Slyke, great arm, average range. Steve Braun, very good arm, average range. The infield, it's Terry Pendleton, Ozzie Smith. Not much to say about those two. They're very good. Ozzie's legend. Tommy Hurd, a decent second baseman. And Jack Clark at first, who could hold his own. Darrell Porter, the catcher, average arm, average range. So Mookie, who is a threat to bunt, 500 in the opener, 2 for 4. 2 singles, a run scored, and an RBI. And we will not indulge him, and he will single. So Wilson reaches to start the game. Reminder, if this is the first of these videos you've caught, I do manage the home team, the computer manages the visitors, unless the Red Sox are playing. Kelvin Chapman, hey, I got that name right. Hit 174 in 85. Oh boy. No homers and 7 RBIs. Can you bunt? He can bunt. So he does. Puts the sacrifice bunt down. Clark's throw is Tudor has it. Throws to first in time, and Wilson goes to second. So Keith Hernandez, who went 0 for 3 in the opener with a walk and a run scored, has an RBI chance here with 1 out. Mookie Wilson on second. And he looks at strike 3, an 0-2 pitch, and Tudor got him with an 88-mile-an-hour changeup. Or that might have been his fastball, to be honest. Gary Carter, 1 for 4 in the opener with a homer and an RBI. Has a chance here to put New York on the board first. He flies one to left. That's going to drop for a single. Mookie scores. Carter's on first, and the Mets draw first blood 1-0. For George Foster. Foster 1 for 2 in the opener with an RBI, which came on a sac fly. He swings. Ground ball to Smith. Throws to first in time. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors. We've played 1 in New York. The Mets 1, the Cardinals nothing. As Jack Clark steps in the box, 1 for 3 on the year with a strikeout. It's a drop-dead gorgeous day here in Flushing. 65 degrees, not a breath of wind. It's clear. We're still streaming in off the subway. Smell the French fries. Just a wonderful day. Pitch count-wise, Darling threw 10 in the first. He should go for about 120. Tudor threw 15. He's good for 125. Clark flies out to Foster. 1 out. Darrell Porter went 1 for 2 in the opener with an RBI. He flies to right. Christensen is there. 2 out. Terry Pendleton, the batter. Terry, 1 for 3 in the opener. He swings and foul tips it into Carter's mitt. That's a strikeout. No runs, no hits, no errors. We play 1.5. The Mets lead the Cardinals 1-0. You'd have to be a pretty obscure Mets fan to remember the name John Christensen. He's the right fielder, and the picture has him with the Mariners, so he spent some time after that. In 85 and 113 at-bats, he hit 186. He hit 3 homers and drove in 13, and he hits lefties better than righties. It'll be him, Howard Johnson, and Rafael Santana here in the second, and if anyone should reach, Ron Darling will bat. Tudor delivers a fly ball to right. Braun's there. 1 out. Howard Johnson gets a pretty good hand. 2 for 3 in the opener. Big home run. Drove in 3. And there's a ground ball to Tudor. Throw to first in time. 2 out. Expect this one to be a low-scoring affair. Rafael Santana, 0 for 3 in the opener with a strikeout. He grounds 1 to Tudor. Throw to first in time. 1, 2, 3, go the Mets. We've played 2. New York 1, St. Louis nothing. And that'll bring up Andy Van Slyke. Andy went 0 for 2 in the opener. Walked and struck out. He flies one to right. Christensen's there. One out. Ozzie Smith the batter. Ozzie went 0 for 3. And singles to start this one to short right. So it's the second Cardinal hit. The Mets also have 2 hits and they've stranded 1 runner. John Tudor the batter. And we take a sec to call on the runners. They're going to be out the corners. No! Tudor swings and doubles to left center. With 1 out, you would think he would bunt. I didn't even bother to read his hitting numbers because I figured there would be no point. And he swung on a pitch and he grabs a double. So it's second and third, 1 out. For Lonnie Smith, who struck out his first time up. He struck out 3 times already this year in 4 at-bats. Darling has struck out 2 and 2 1/3. Smith singles. So that'll score the first run. John Tudor, well, Ozzie Smith scores. John Tudor holds at third. Lonnie Smith will stay at first. Tommy Herr, the batter, he singled his first time up. Smith goes, fly ball to right, and it's fouled. So the count is 1 ball and 1 strike to Tommy Herr. And he grounds to Hernandez. Hernandez will not throw home. They'll concede the run. He flips to Darling, and they'll take the short out at first. Tudor scores. The Cardinals lead 2-1, and Lonnie Smith moves to second. And that'll bring up Steve Braun, who's 0 for 1. Braun draws a walk. And that'll bring up the Cardinals' power hitter, Jack Clark, who's 0 for 1. Clark lines one right to Howard Johnson. That's the inning. 2 runs, pardon me. 3 hits, no errors. The Cardinals strand 2, and they take a 2-1 lead against the New York Mets. And so Ron Darling will be the batter, and since Darling hit 171 at 85, did not homer, did not drive anyone in, struck out 25 times out of 76 at-bats. Darling flies one to center. Van Slyke comes in and makes the play. And that'll bring up Mookie Wilson. He singled and scored in the first. The lone Mets run. And he looks at strike 3 from Tudor. So that's the second strikeout from John. 89-mile-an-hour fast time, and then I'll bring up Kelvin Chapman, who bunted his first time up. He'll have to swing here. Chapman grounds one to Tudor, throws to first in time. No runs, no hits, no errors. We played 3 full. The Cardinals 2, the Mets 1. Darryl Porter up. He'll be followed by Pendleton and Van Slyke. Darryl is 0 for 1. He flies one to right. Back goes Christensen. He makes the grab. 1 out. Darling now at 55 pitches in 3 1/3 innings. 4 hits. He has walked 1 and struck out 2. Both the Cardinal runs are earned. Pendleton is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Terry is 1 for 4 on the year. Grounds one to Darling. Throw to first. 2 out. Van Slyke is 0 for 1. 2 out. And Darling gets into swing and miss. Strike 3. So that goes the side in order. No runs, no hits, no errors. 3.5 in the books. The Cardinals 2, the Mets 1. Keith Hernandez steps up. He struck out his first time up. The Mets beat the Cardinals 2 days ago, 7-1 behind Dwight Gooden. And this is the second of a 2-game series. Tudor delivers a fly ball to right. Braun looks, so it's foul. Tudor, 36 pitches, 3 innings plus now. 2 hits, the run, it was earned, and it struck out 2. Hernandez singles to left through the hole. And that's the 3rd Met hit. The Cardinals, if you're wondering, and I know you are, have stranded 2. The Mets have stranded 1. Gary Carter, the batter. Gary singled and drove in a run his first time up. Has 2 RBIs in the year now. And he flies one to right. Back goes Braun. Makes the grab. 1 out for George Foster, who is 0 for 1. Foster flies one to left. Back goes Lonnie Smith. Makes the grab, 2 out. And that'll bring up John Christensen, who's 0 for 1. Christensen flies one to center. Van Slyke moves over, makes the grab. That's the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. The Mets strand 1, 4 in the books. St. Louis 2, New York 1. Ozzie Smith, the batter, he singled and scored in the 3rd. He'll single again, this time through the hole and left. So John Tudor, the batter, I'll read you the numbers. He hit 138, which is why I thought he was going to bunt. No homers and 2 RBI. His first time up, he hit a double and scored. Again, the Mets will play the bunt here. We'll see what he does. This time he lays one down. Carter picks it up, throws to Chapman in time. So the sacrifice works. Ozzie Smith goes to second. Lonnie Smith at the plate with 1 out. Lonnie is 1 for 2 with an RBI. Single and a struck-out. And he draws a walk this time for Tommy Herr. Tom, 1 for 2 with the other RBI. Herr swings one to short, throw to first in time. So it was a bang-bang play. The runners were going. There was no chance to even try double play. So there's 2 out here in the top of the 5th for Steve Braun, who has walked and is 0 for 1. He goes doubles. Both the runs will score. And the Cardinals jump on top 4-1. Big hit for Braun. Here's Jack Clark. Clark is 0 for 2. And he swings and misses. Strike 3. Not before the Cardinals put 2 more on the board. 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors. They strand 1. After halfway home here at Shea, it's the Cardinals 4, the Mets 1. Howard Johnson will lead off. Howard's 0 for 1. Santana. And we'll have to think about Darling. Howard grounds one to short. Throw to first in time. Santana the batter. I think it depends on what Santana does here is what we'll do with Darling. And he grounds one to third. Fountain throws in time. We'll see if we can get a little bit longer out of Ronnie. 0 for 1. Thrown 88 pitches. Should be good for 120. But he should at least try the 6. Tudor, by the way, is only at 55 pitches. Rounder to Tudor. Throws to first in time. No runs, no errors, no hits. After 5, it's the Cardinals 4, the Mets 1. It'll be Darrell Porter, Terry Pendleton, and Andy Van Slyke. Porter is 0 for 2. And Darling says he's okay. So Johnson will start him out. He's allowed 8 base runners, 6 hits, 2 walks, 4 runs, all earned, and has struck out 4. Porter flies one to right. Christensen doesn't even have to move. 1 out. Terry Pendleton over 2 with a strikeout. Flies one to left. Back goes Foster. He's there. 2 out. For Andy Van Slyke, 0 for 2 with a strikeout. He flies one to right. Christensen stands still, makes the grab. It's a perfect 6th for Darling and the Mets. We played 5.5. The Cardinals, however, lead 4-1. John Tudor will face Mookie Wilson, Kelvin Chapman, and Keith Hernandez. Mookie 1 for 2 with a run scored, single, and a strikeout. He lays one down, foul. The Cardinals were playing back. It was a good chance to take. So the count is 0-2, and now he'll be swinging away. Tudor loses him on a walk. So after going down with 0-2 with a bunt, He reaches on Tudor's first walk. Tudor only walked 49 in 275 innings. Kelvin Chapman, kind of obligated to give the lineups 3 times through, so we will swing and hope that Wilson can do something with it. Even Wilson possesses great speed, but his stolen base chances with a lefty on the mound are not good. He swings. No, he doesn't. He checks swing. Strike 3. They look over to first, and the umpire says he swung. Don't read the play-by-play there. Here's Keith Hernandez. Keith is 1 for 2 with a strikeout. That's the 3rd strikeout for Tudor. Hernandez. Oh, the ball gets away from Porter. It's going to go down as a pass ball. After the game, we'll be going back to remedial baseball play-by-play. So Mookie moves into scoring position. 4-1 St. Louis here in the bottom of the 6th. But the Mets have a runner now that can score. Hernandez has a 1-1 count. And he looks at strike 3. 2 out. The 89-mile-an-hour heater has fooled 4. Here's Gary Carter. Gary has an RBI single and is 1 for 2. And they're going to walk him with 2 out. For George Foster, let's see if Whitey is rolling the dice here. Foster is 0 for 2. And he grounds 1 to Tudor. It works. He throws to Clark to retire the side. No runs, no hits, no errors. 6 in the books. It's St. Louis 4, New York 1. Ozzie Smith, who is 2 for 2, will lead off the inning. John Tudor and Lonnie Smith due up. And if any of those 3 should reach, and there's not a double play, Tommy Herr would bat 4th. Ozzie singles to left, so he is now 3 for 3. And I'll bring up John Tudor, who is 1 for 1 with a sac bunt. He bunts. Hernandez flips it over to Chapman for the out. So for the 2nd time today, Tudor lays down a good sacrifice bunt. There is 1 out, and it's 4-1 St. Louis still. Lonnie Smith at the plate, 1 for 2, has scored, walked, struck out, and has an RBI. And so now I think we're probably down to next base runner for Darling. Lonnie grounds 1 to Howard Johnson, throws to first in time, 2 out. That'll bring up Herr, 1 for 3 with an RBI. And he walks. So it's Ozzie Smith on second, Tommy Herr on first. And that will be the day for Darling. We'll get to all the totals at the end of it. Jesse Orozco will come in. To force Steve Braun to probably be pinch hit for it, because Braun did not hit lefties well at all. Orozco's numbers, remember, it's a different game in the 80s than it is today. 273 ERA in the year. He went 8-6 with 17 saves. He and Roger McDowell were the Mets bullpen aces. 79 innings. So this is not just a left-hander to get 1 out. 66 hits. He allowed 6 homers, 34 walks, and 68 strikeouts. I imagine we're going to see a pinch hitter for Braun here. And we do. Tito Landrum, who went 0 for 1 in a pinch hitting role in the first game of the series. And to remind you of what he did in 85. He hit 280, 4 homers, and 21 RBI. So it's Ozzie Smith on second, Tommy Herr on first, Jesse Orozco in to pitch, 2 outs here in the 7th. Orozco gets him to look at strike 3. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. The Cardinals 3-2. Stretch time in Flushing. It's the Cardinals 4, the Mets 1. It'll be John Christensen leading off for the Mets. Howard Johnson and Rafael Santana, and if we get to Jesse Orozco, I think it will depend on the situation. Probably if there's a runner on, we'll pinch hit. Christensen draws a walk. And that'll bring up Johnson, who is 0 for 2. He chops one to second. Herr flips to Smith for 1 to throw to first in time. Double play. And this will bring up Rafael Santana, who's 0 for 2. Tudor delivers a ground ball to the Wizard. Throw to first in time. So that's the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, no one left. 7 in the books. St. Louis 7, or 4, New York 1. Jack Clark will start the 8th for Jesse Orozco, Porter, and Pendleton with Van Slyke in the 4-hole. Clark is 0 for 3 with a strikeout. And he draws a walk for Darrell Porter. See if they pinch hit. Porter hit 184 against lefties in 85. No, Orozco throws one away. It's a wild pitch. So Clark moves to second. Not a great relief appearance so far. A ball and 2 strikes to count for Darrell Porter. Who swing? No. Check swing, so strike anyway. So 2 out for Terry Pendleton, who's 0 for 3. Terry's a switch hitter. Not as good against lefties as he is righties. 1 out. Runner on second. There's a ground ball to second. Chapman throws to first. Clark moves to third. 2 out. So Andy Van Slyke the batter, and you got to think they'll pinch hit here. The Cardinals are 4 hits, 7 runs, no errors. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. The Cardinals have 4 runs, 7 hits, no errors. I got that part right. And they've stranded 5. The Mets have scored 1, 3 hits, no errors, and they've stranded 4. So let's see what they do with Van Slyke. 2 out here in the 8th. He bats and pops one to the left center. Mookie's there. He makes the grab, and that's the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors. We go to the bottom of the 8th. The Cardinals 4, the Mets 1. Orozco will not bat. And the 2 right-handed hitting choices are Bad and Batter. So they will go with... We'll go with Ron Reynolds. Strawberry sat because of the left-handed pitcher. That's why. Ron Reynolds, in limited duty, primarily because they had Gary Carter, hit 209, 1 homer, or no homers, and 1 RBI. Struck out 18 times in 43 at-bats. Tudor at 98 pitches. If he is economical this inning, he could go the route. And that's a grounder foul. 0-2. There's a chopper to Ozzie. Throws the first in time. Mookie Wilson, 1 for 2. Struck out, walked, and scored. The lone Met run in the first. Mookie flies to center. Van Slyke is there, 2 out. So Kelvin Chapman will bat. 0 for 2 with a strikeout. He chops one to Ozzie. Throws to first in time. That's the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors. 8 in the books. It's the Cardinals 4, the Mets 1. The Mets won't burn Roger McDowell here. They will go with Doug Sisk. Sisk 4-5 in 85 with 2 saves. An earned run average of 5.3, 73 innings, 86 hits, 3 home runs, 40 walks, and 26 strikeouts. The Wizard is 3 for 3. He has singled 3 times and scored twice. And he another single, this time to left. So Ozzie goes 4 for 4. A good game for him. And that'll bring up John Tudor, who I can't imagine they would pinch hit for. They don't. He bunts to Sisk. Over to Chapman for the out. 1 out. He could have played the corners in, but with Ozzy's speed, he's going to get the base anyway. Lonnie Smith, the batter. 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Has walked and scored and struck out. And he singles. And the Mets have the option of throwing home. Ozzy takes a wide turn to third. They're going to go home with it. He will not cut it off. And the throw is in time. They got him. A direct strike from Foster to Carter, and there's 2 out. Lonnie Smith goes to second, but a huge out as Ozzie Smith is thrown out trying to score. Tommy Herr, 1 for 3 with an RBI and a walk. Herr singles up the middle. What will they do with Lonnie Smith? Lonnie Smith, he will score. Or try to. The throw coming home is not in time. Mookie really has no arm. And that was just kind of just take your shot and see what you can do with it. So the Cardinals go up 5-1. Tito Landrum, who stayed in the game and right, struck out his first time up. And they're going to pinch hit for him. They're going to pinch hit Mike Jorgensen. Jorgensen, the lefty, is 0 for 1. Pinch hit in Tuesday's game. 196 and 85 with no homers and 11 RBIs. Herr the runner on first. And he pops it up. Carter flips off the mask. Goes to the screen. Out of play. Full count. Jorgensen looks at strike 3. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors. We've played 8.5. It's the Cardinals 5, the Mets 1. It will be Keith Hernandez to lead off against John Tudor, who probably, if he's clean, can go the distance. Hernandez is 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Gary Carter and George Foster will bat next, and there will be a pinch hitter for Christensen if anyone reaches. Hernandez grounds 1 to second. Herr throws in time. Gary Carter, the batter. Carter 1 for 2. He flies a single in the left. So I'll bring up George Foster. Foster is 0 for 3. And he flies 1 to right. Harper's there, who came in for Jorgensen, and there's 2 out. Pinch hitter coming for Christensen. Believe it or not, it'll be Darryl Strawberry, who actually hit lefties at 256 clip. So 2 out, Strawberry the batter. Strawberry went 1 for 3 in the opener, scored twice, and has an RBI. He looks at strike 3. Really, he'd look at it. Don't read the play-by-play. And the Cardinals win 5-1. The totals after this. Well, the St. Louis Cardinals split this brief 2-game series with the New York Mets, taking today's game 5-1. 5 runs on 10 hits for St. Louis, no errors. They scored 2 in the third, 2 in the fifth, 1 in the ninth. The Mets, Mookie Wilson scored in the first, and that was it. They only had 4 hits. Gary Carter had 2 of those. No errors for the Mets. John Tudor went the distance. 9 innings, 4 hits, a run, it was earned. 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, 117 pitches, 85 strikes, 32 balls. Ron Darling, 6 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, all earned. The Cardinals just don't hit home runs. He walked 3 and struck out 4. Jesse Orozco pitched an inning in the third, and Doug Sisk closed it out with the 9th, giving up a run. Obviously, John Tudor is the Studebaker MVP, throwing the 4-hitter. Your 1985, your local Studebaker has the best. My goodness, can't even read the stupid ads. Your local Studebaker dealer has the best in new cars. Go look at the 1985 Studebakers today. Time of the game, 3 hours and 1 minute. Tommy Herr had the game-winning RBI. Join us over the weekend for more exciting baseball action in Baseball 85. The expected series is going to be the Montreal Expos and the Chicago Cubs from Wrigley. We'll have all 3 of those games for you starting Friday. This is Ron Checkett. Till then, we'll talk to you the next time. Sure will. Oops. We forgot the post-game show, the other part. There were 4 games in baseball played this afternoon to go along with the Cardinals and the Mets. Detroit beat Cleveland 5-2. The Dodgers beat the Astros 1-0. The Red Sox beat the Yankees 7-6. And the Cubs beat the Pirates 3-1. So that's the post-game show. That's everything else that happened in baseball today. So join us Friday for more exciting baseball action. Till then, bye-bye.